Matt Armstrong has landed in Miami, and part 3 of the most ambitious independent Bugatti rebuild ever attempted is officially underway. This time, nothing is coming apart. Everything goes back together. For months, the doubters have had one consistent argument. Taking a Bugatti Chiron apart is the easy part. Any motivated person with enough patience can remove bolts. Reassembly, they say, is where the real skill lives, and where Matt's limitations will finally be exposed. This weekend, we find out if they're right. Matt is back at CV Customs, the Miami shop where the Chiron has been sitting split in half, waiting. The front monocoque on one side of the shop floor. The rear subframe, with the W16 engine still mounted to it, on the other. Every system that connects them, disconnected, labeled, and documented, sitting in careful order exactly as it was removed. The car has been in this state for weeks. Now it's time to close the gap. The immediate focus is the gearbox mounting bracket, the component that set this entire saga in motion. For those just joining the story, this bracket, which connects the gearbox to the rear subframe, was found cracked during the initial inspection. It's the reason the car had to be split in the first place. You can't properly address a cracked gearbox bracket without separating the vehicle. And you can't reassemble the vehicle without solving the bracket first.
Now we're in Miami, and well, you guys all know why we're here. We've come to film part 3 on the Bugatti. We've got to go and put it back together. We've got some options with the gearbox mounting, which is the next job. Load of people are doubting us on whether we can actually get it back running again because, okay, taking it apart, it didn't seem too hard, but the skill begins when we're putting it back together, and that is going to be the next video.
Matt currently has options on the table, and the decision isn't finalized. Option 1 is the CNC machined replacement bracket that's been in development, a custom-engineered component based on 3D scans of the original, designed to be stronger than Bugatti's cast factory part. Option 2 is a repair to the original cracked bracket, which is faster but carries long-term reliability questions. Option 3 is a sourced used part, if one can actually be located, which is far from guaranteed given how few Chirons exist in the world. Whatever Matt chooses has to be right. Without a properly secured gearbox bracket, reassembly cannot proceed. Now, let's address the criticism directly, because it deserves a real answer. The doubters aren't entirely wrong. Reassembly genuinely is harder than disassembly, and for specific, technical reasons. Not just in theory, but in practice. When you're taking a complex car apart, the process is naturally self-correcting. If something isn't coming free, you're probably forgetting a fastener or working in the wrong sequence. Mistakes are immediately obvious. The car resists. You stop and reassess. Reassembly doesn't work that way. Reassembly requires you to know the correct order before you begin, because some components physically block access to others once they're in place. Wiring harnesses need to be routed precisely, not approximately, or they get pinched between panels and fail under vibration. Coolant lines need proper positioning before the surrounding structure closes around them, or they weep under pressure in places you can no longer reach. Seals, gaskets, and O-rings that looked fine during disassembly may have taken a set and need replacement. You don't always know until pressure testing reveals the leak. Torque specifications matter enormously during reassembly in ways that simply don't apply when removing bolts. Overtorque an aluminum fastener and you strip threads or introduce microcracks that fail later under load. Undertorque and components vibrate loose, seals don't compress properly, and fluid systems that should be sealed aren't. The Chiron has hundreds, likely thousands, of individual connection points that Matt disconnected during teardown. Every single one needs to go back together correctly. Miss one electrical connector and the car throws fault codes that may take hours to chase down. Connect one incorrectly and you risk damaging a control module that costs more than most people's cars. The 14 titanium bolts that mate the rear subframe to the front monocoque are perhaps the most consequential fasteners in the entire reassembly. They need to be torqued to exact specification, in a specific sequence, with the correct thread preparation. Too tight and you warp the precision-machined mounting faces. Too loose and structural integrity is compromised in a car that generates over 1,600 horsepower. All of that knowledge, the sequences, the specifications, the procedures, had to be developed independently because Bugatti refused to provide service documentation. That was the entire argument Matt Rimac made when the rebuild became public, that independent garages lack not just the parts, but the knowledge, the calibrated equipment, and the proprietary procedures to properly service a Chiron. That argument was designed to make independent rebuilds seem not just difficult, but categorically impossible. But here's what the doubters keep glossing over. Matt has already demonstrated the systematic, methodical approach that successful reassembly actually requires. The disassembly wasn't chaotic. It was documented at every step. Connectors were photographed before removal. Wiring looms were labeled. Removal sequences were recorded. That documentation doesn't just tell the story of how the car came apart. It's the instruction manual for putting it back together. Reverse the process. Follow the photographs. Reconnect everything exactly as it was disconnected, in the reverse order it was removed. The gearbox bracket solution, whichever option Matt selects, is being approached through proper engineering methodology, not guesswork. The CNC machine replacement was developed from 3D scans of the original component, with geometry refined to address the failure mode that cracked Bugatti's factory casting. The custom exhaust system being developed in parallel by Valvetronic went through 3D printed templates before any metal was cut, with flow dynamics calculated and junction points engineered for the specific routing this car requires. This is not a rebuild being improvised on the fly. It's being treated as the genuine engineering project it is. Define requirements, source solutions, verify fit and function before final installation. The doubters predicting failure are betting against a documented, proven process. That's a risky bet. If Matt successfully reassembles the Chiron and gets it running, the implications reach well beyond one rebuilt car and one YouTube channel. Every argument Bugatti deployed about why independent rebuilds are impossible gets answered, on camera, in detail, with receipts. The claims about facility requirements, specialized tooling, and proprietary knowledge all collapse under the weight of video documentation proving otherwise. More importantly, the Chiron becomes a tangible demonstration that hypercar ownership does not require manufacturer permission to exercise. Owners have the legal right to repair vehicles they purchased. Independent builders have the demonstrated capability to execute those repairs properly. That precedent doesn't just affect Bugatti. It affects Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Pagani, and every other manufacturer currently using parts monopolies and service exclusivity to maintain control over vehicles after the point of sale. The right to repair movement has been fighting this battle legislatively for years. What Matt is doing in a Miami garage this weekend is the real-world evidence that legislative arguments have been built on in theory. A successfully completed independent Chiron rebuild is proof of concept that no lobbying campaign or manufacturer press release can easily counter. That's the weight this weekend carries. Not just whether Matt wins an argument with his comments section. Whether an entire industry's model for post-sale control gets validated or challenged by documented evidence. The pressure on Matt is real and coming from multiple directions at once. There's community pressure, the millions of subscribers who have followed every step of this build and are waiting to see whether the promise of completion can actually be delivered. There's the financial reality, the investment in purchasing a crashed Chiron and funding a rebuild of this complexity needs to result in a functioning car, not an expensive collection of labeled parts in a Florida shop. There's reputational stakes. Matt has built his channel on the premise that no automotive project is beyond the reach of a skilled, determined independent builder. This rebuild is either the proof or the counterexample. And underneath all of it, there's the genuine technical challenge. Reassembling a 1,600 horsepower hypercar with custom fabricated components in place of parts the manufacturer refused to sell. That is hard. Nobody is pretending otherwise. But hard and impossible are not the same thing. Part 3 is filming now. The gearbox bracket decision gets made this weekend. The rear subframe moves toward the front monocoque. The systems that have been waiting, disconnected, and patient start coming back together. The doubters think reassembly exposes Matt's limitations. Matt thinks it exposes manufacturer gatekeeping as the unnecessary obstruction it has always been. Subscribe, because we're about to find out who's right.